On this episode of the Mad Rush podcast.
I was not prepared. And then I didn't work hardly at all that week. I had a lot of work to do. And I found myself on calls to mom saying, okay, what'd you get? Yeah, okay, we got this one. And it was like, what is wrong with me? I mean, and we were all trying to help, just encourage each other of like, okay, though that's a great house. That one's a really good house. And I was having all these conversations, and it just to me was like, one way you're like, I can't get over that we're putting so much into it, but it's so important to them. And it's really hard, to your point of like, not making something at 18, it's hard to tell them that so it's not always personal, but to tell an 18-year-old who really wants this so badly, all as a parent, you want to do is make that happen, but you can't. This is the first time you're kind of sitting on the sidelines and hoping for the best.
Welcome to the Mad Rush podcast. I'm Trisha Addix, the original sorority rush consultant. While the stories I have to share are nothing short of astonishing, this podcast goes beyond the wild client tales and sorority life. I'll be engaging with fascinating guests from both within and outside the Greek world, uncovering the surprising connections that bind us all together. Join me for a journey that's as entertaining as it is enlightening. Welcome to Mad Rush. As this journey has continued for me, I have come across some interesting, successful, and all-around amazing people. And today, I'm especially honored that Emmy Award-winning host and executive producer Catie Keogh is joining me on Mad Rush. Welcome, Catie.
Hi, I'm glad to be here.
So I discovered Catie, not discovered her, she's been discovered, but I discovered her for myself on Instagram by accident, and I was struck by how hilarious she is. In addition to all of her accomplishments, which she can tell you more about those than I can, she is also a Midwest mom who just experienced with her daughter Rush in the South. Her skits on this that I've now obsessed with on Instagram are hilarious. But before we get into the Rush stuff, tell us like a little bit about yourself, what you do, how you got here, because I think it's really fascinating.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm glad to be here. I'm excited. I'm now officially a Rush mother, or a sorority mother.
Sorority mom.
Right.
Sort of like a soccer mom.
It's a whole new world for me. But so I'm based in Chicago, Illinois, and I've been doing broadcast TV for years, so probably 15 years. We have one daughter. I've been kind of doing this whole thing. This whole thing with social media kind of took off. Well, I've been doing it since the beginning, right? So 10 years or however long it's been here. But my videos, all of a sudden, I just started leaning into my comedy because I did improv comedy for a long time here in Chicago. But I knew that wouldn't pay the bills. So I thought, well, okay, I'll get out television in Chicago. And so I got hired to do the traffic initially. And then they gave me my own show. I just couldn't do it. I had a newborn baby at the time. And I was like, I can't do this traffic. The hours are horrible. So I'm like, what if I do a show called 24/7 Chicago? I executive produced it. I sold it. I hosted it. I did it. And it went for 9 years. And we got multiple Emmys for it. But it was serious in a way. I mean, I had my humor show throughout. But now that I do Instagram, it's like I can do whatever I want on my own platform. So it's been really nice to kind of lean back into my improv comedy days and kind of go back to that. Because that's my true love, to be honest.
Yeah, that's super cool. And I don't think I've ever even met anyone who's won an Emmy. So I'm bowing down to her just so because you can't see me. You will be able to see me sometime soon, this video. But I think that's super cool. I'm, like I said, honored that you're here. And I love meeting inspiring women or inspiring people, honestly, who have taken their love and their initiative. I mean, you created that show. I mean, because she was a newborn mom, she made it work for her and had huge success. And I admire that so much. And it's so inspiring to me, really, because as I've had this business for a long time, but now I'm kind of embarking on a book and a movie and this podcast. And it's very daunting, and to see that you were able to do that is, like I said, really inspiring to me. So,
well, probably like you, I had a lot of people who helped me along the way, but there's this passion you have. It was my happy place, right? I was working hard, but I loved Mondays. But also I love being a mom too. So the last few years, it's like I've kind of pulled myself back. I'd say I've got one daughter. I don't want to miss out on anything. So I pulled back. I work for National Geographic too on the digital side. So I travel quite a bit now. So my job that was based in Chicago kind of bloomed, if you will, into like a travel show. So I've been doing this travel brand for about 7-8 years now.
Oh, wow.
It's called Let's Go with Catie Keogh. So I don't have the TV show anymore, but I've got this brand, and I get to travel. I get to, I was able to take my daughter and my husband with me along the way. Sometimes my parents. Yeah, it's been a great journey, but I had to pull back a lot too, because I didn't want to miss out on my daughter's life either. So it's a hard balance as a mom, as we all know. It's hard to balance it all.
Yeah. I remember I was a professional photographer and in one of my lives. And I remember I was taking pictures at this kid's, and I didn't usually do events, but I was asked to take pictures of this child's baptism. And it was a church where the baptism was really freaking long. Like, I don't even know what denomination this was, but it was hours. Anyway, I kept getting these calls from my husband, and it was our older son's first football game, I believe in 6th grade. And he had 4 touchdowns and I wasn't there. And I was like, I literally shut my business down the next day. I was like, that's not happening again, ever. So anyway, I get it. I get the balance. I get how you got to be, as a mom, reiterate and reinvent, figure out what works for you and your family. And now you're an empty nester. So.
Well, and that was sort of my joke. I'm going to do another video this week, maybe today even. My daughter went from being like my best friend, talking all the time, like, what outfits are we going to do for Raj? Like all these things, to like, I haven't heard from her in a week and a half, It's like,
really?
Not really. I mean, I love it. She's having a great time. She's had friends. She got into the sorority she wanted. She's got all new best friends, but it's like, she's super busy. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So that's what I need to figure out now. It's like, okay, this is her time to shine. This is her time to fly. And it's also my time to fly too. So it's new. It's only been a couple weeks, but yeah, it's crazy. I thought I'd be hearing from her every day, but she's finding her way. So that's what we want.
And I love that because, I have a lot of friends who talk to their daughters, which I'm also jealous of, 25 times a day, but I think it's great when you don't hear from them a bunch of times a day, because that means that they're doing what they want to do and they're, kicking off their new chapter. And so, like you said, it's time for us to kick off our new chapter. But
I also get into Snapchat, because if your kid is at college age, like that's all they do. So I made my husband join Snapchat because that's my way to communicate with her. I just like snap her pictures and like she snaps me back. So I'm finding our new normal. Because she's not here anymore. So it's hard, like, how do you kind of keep that connection going? So anyways, that's a good recommendation. Get on Snapchat and start snapping your kids.
And when my kids first start, they've had Snapchat for a long time, but I used to just take a selfie and send it to them and be like, hi, this is a Snapchat. And they're like, no, Mom, that's not what Snapchat
that
is.
A great video. Like moms who think that's
yes, you should totally do that. And you can, I can tell you how much of a buffoon I was. I was hi, this is my Snapchat to you. So now, where did you go to college?
I went to the University of Texas in Austin. So I have a little bit of that's our daughter is going to Texas Christian. She goes to TCU in Fort Worth. And
along with a million other people, that is such a popular school now.
It is. Well, it's become really popular in the Midwest too. So, but I had come up here for 1 year, and then I met my husband, and here we are 20 plus years later. But so I've always loved Texas. I went to high school in Houston at a school called Kingwood, Texas, and then went to University of Texas. So I love being back in Texas feels really good. But it is a huge change. A lot's changed in 20 years.
Yeah, it has. And so do you love Matthew McConaughey? I'm just curious.
I do, of course.
I do too. So did your husband go to college? So he's went to University of Minnesota.
He's an orthopedic surgeon. So he went to school in the Midwest for his medical school and then residency here in Chicago, went to Rush. So he's a Midwest boy through and through. In fact, our daughter just texted us yesterday saying that he has to get a pair of cowboy boots for some dad's weekend. He's like, I don't even know where to start with that. Like cowboy boots. Like, I don't know. So that's like so out of his wheelhouse, but he'll do anything for his daughter. So he's going to get himself.
And that is I didn't mean to like cut you off there, but that is part of, so my podcast during these huge rush weeks was very rush specific, but it is morphing into coming to your kid's school, Greek or not Greek, because as parents, like this is a whole new world for you guys. And like showing up for parents weekends, like where do you tailgate? What do you do? And what do you wear? And it's kind of, as I always say, it's a thing. And a lot of times we've seen a huge influx of clients from the Midwest and the North and California. And they are like, I'm not saying your husband's lost, but they're like, wait, what? I have to wear.
No, he's lost. He doesn't even know like what country, anything about country music. I love country music. I love all that, but no, this is like not his wheelhouse. But like I said, he's excited. Last night, she said, "Dad, you need to get wear purple or TCU, so it's like everything's." Yes. And he went out to Nordstrom and he bought a purple blazer and he's getting himself. I mean, he's excited, and I think that's to your point. It's like it is like a family thing. Like I don't remember when I went to school having my parents really involved in much. So I love this. We love being a part of this whole community.
Yeah, and I've said that before. And I've said it on this podcast that my parents, loved me, whatever, but they dropped me off my freshman year. I didn't see him again till Thanksgiving. Then I didn't see him again till Christmas. And then I didn't see him again till summer. And well, that was especially when I wasn't in a sorority, but then maybe they would come for one like family weekend. But it's especially, in these Southern schools, it's a thing. The family is involved and it's so cool. And I've said it before on this, some great friends my age who are my kids' friends' parents from college. Like, really? Okay. I don't think my parents met. I mean, no. you will have a group from your daughter's sorority parents that you will keep in touch with. They will become sort of like, I don't know what your daughter was into.
She did volleyball and lacrosse. She's
right. So think about those relationships that you have with the people that you sat in the stands with and the people that you would, tailgate with or whatever. I say tailgate because football, but you probably tailgated for some of that stuff anyway. I mean, also especially if you were in away games. Oh yeah. But these people, I promise you, are going to be like so important to you and for the rest of your life, just like those people are. And it's a very cool thing, but it is also very different than, you're younger than me, but it's very different than our parents. I remember one set of girls who were in my sorority, and we all knew her parents, or their parents. It was the Farrs, Chi Omegas at Georgia. They would come and they would do the roasted pig and all that stuff, but we all knew the Farrs, but we didn't know, like they didn't know our parents because our parents didn't come. They were super involved. Right. But, and that was kind of cool, and now it's everybody's parents.
Oh, I can't wait to go. I'm really looking forward to it. I bought all my purple. I've got all that. I bought everything I need, I think, for game day and all that. So yeah, we're excited. It's happening really fast, but, it's just, like I said, it's just a different world for us. We had no idea. Even like bid day, I had no idea.
Did you go for bid day?
I did, but I wasn't going to. All my Midwest friends, they didn't go. But I have, because I went to school in Texas, my one best friend was like, you go. Because if things go south, you need to be there for her. And if it's great, you need to be there for her. So get there. So I did. Last minute, I booked a ticket and I went. And it actually was, I'll like treasure that time.
Yes. And that's, Ellen Skermetti was on my podcast this past week, which by the time this airs, it will have been a few weeks ago. But she was like, this is the time, you can celebrate your kid and and it's nothing more than that. It's, whatever you make of it. And a lot of people don't understand it, but it's no different to me than showing up for their games or. Yeah.
But we don't know that in the Midwest. We did not. That was a memo we did not get. It was hot. It was like, but it was, again, I was so glad I was there. And I kept doing this. I'm like, I can't believe we got this house. And I'm so excited. And my daughter's like, I got the house. And I'm like, actually, that was like a team effort. So every time I'm like, oh my gosh, what are we going to wear for sisterhood? What are we going to wear for you mean, what am I wearing? I'm like, right. But you get I got really into it this summer, and it was such a bonding experience for us to kind of like find the outfits. Like I loved every second of it. Like just shopping with her, not spending the money per se. this summer, but that's okay. Yeah, it was all worth it.
That's the biggest, one of the biggest things, like the fun part of what I do. You know, we do a lot more than just shopping for clothes or helping pick outfits, but that is a big fun thing for me, especially being a mom of boys. I love to do that. And my daughter-in-law, I would buy her, if I could, I would, buy her all the clothes in the world because I just love that bonding experience. And it's a fun thing to do. And it's fun for our mentors and me when I had clients directly to do that. So that's a super fun thing. Yeah. So what other like differences do you see between Midwest and South? Because now you've seen a glimpse.
Yeah. Well, I think it's so much harder for Midwestern girls coming in if you kind of aren't prepared. I would definitely recommend a coach. If you can get one, I would say, or go on to some sites to kind of figure it out. But for me, I feel like our girls were at such a disadvantage. I'll start with the headshots. I didn't know until like that you needed picture, like most of the kids up here, they use their senior picture and they put it on. And here it's like, oh no, we went and got a photo shoot. And this actually started funny. It was still cold here. So I booked this photo shoot here and she's like freezing cold and she's out in like a dress outside and there were no leaves on the trees. And she's like, Mom, this is not working. I need to be in my cowboy boots. Like, so we ended up doing her photos. I booked a photographer during spring break, her senior year. And then I booked someone and that was great because, they have to be in warm weather clothes and they can't be in their Midwestern cold wear. So that was something I wish someone had told me kind of, but I ended up figuring it out. But
we would have told you that, just FYI.
Yes. Well, and I should have hired someone, to be honest, but I didn't
Well, you
know.
didn't need to. You worked it out.
But I'd also say too, what was my other advice? Making sure that you're kind of wearing the outfits everyone's wearing. Because I think, again, up here in the Midwest, we don't get as dressed up. Recommendation letters. We were told that like some houses you don't necessarily need it. It's, you should consider it, but it's a definite. You have to have recommendation letters because what I didn't know is, and a lot of the Midwestern girls and the moms I talked to from the Midwest, their girls got cut before they even were seen. Like they weren't able to go into this house that they really wanted because they got cut. And a lot of it, we think, has to do with the fact that we didn't have a recommendation letter for that. That's really important because a lot of these girls know each other or they have a cousin or their older sister went, so there's connections and they're making these connections in high school. For us in the Midwest, we don't have that as much. And then all of a sudden one day our daughters are like, I think I want to go to school in the South. But, they all want warm weather destinations, but there's a whole thing in the South. And so respecting what they're doing in the South, I think you have to kind of assimilate and do what they're doing and just kind of be aware of that. So I would say recommendation letters for every single house, which I didn't know we had to do.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like that's 101, but it wasn't for me.
Well, that's good to know. And that is, like I said, it's something that if you don't know, you don't know. And there are some houses that no longer accept them. But it's sort of like if you start out, it's sort of like a test. If you don't do the extra credit, well, that's not a very good analogy.
No, I know.
Try different. So like you start off with 100. If you don't get a rec letter, then you're starting with a 98. It's not that big of a deal, but if it can, if there are little things like that and it's GPA and it's your video and it's your picture and it's what your activities and all the things that you've done, your score, just like on a test, can go down if you're missing those pieces. So yes, it is important to do.
I mean, I would have hired someone like you. I didn't realize that until I was in it and it was too late. And then another thing too, it's like I had this, thank God I had two women who were really mentoring me. They're both my friends from high school and both their daughters and they were in sorority. So they kind of knew all the lingo. I didn't know all this whole snapback bids or snap bids.
Snapback bids.
Whatever it's called. I didn't know any of that stuff because I wasn't in a sorority. So for me, it was like, I always wanted to be. And I wish my mom had kind of encouraged me, but that was not how she was raised. And so she was like, no, we're not doing that. And so I always regretted that. So maybe that's why I put so much into it. But when it came down to it, that week of rush, I have never been more stressed. I have never said more. I'm a good Catholic girl from the Midwest. I've never said more Hail Marys than I did that week. You just want your kid to be happy and you want them to find friends. And it's like, and they all use that same phrase, trust the process, right?
Yeah.
But there is truth to that. It's almost like, to me, I interpret it as more like just trust God. Like you're going to get exactly where where you're supposed to be, and everything happens for the same, the right reason. So I kept telling her that it's already done. Relax, just like be the best you can be. But it was hard. I mean, it was stressful for all of them. All the girls going through. I had no idea the pressure that they're under during rush week.
Yeah, it's tough, and it's tough as a mom. And say what you will, but the entire reason I have the business I have is because I lived it. I lived not getting into a sorority my freshman year. And again, some people say, oh, it's just a sorority. But to me, that's what I wanted. I was coming from out of state, and all of a sudden I was left like, wait, I just got rejected. I didn't get in a sorority. And that's a huge blow. And as parents, you can predict that. I mean, not predict it, but you know how bad that's going to be, how that's going to make the tradition tough if that's what you want, if that's what your daughter wants. So it's a lot of stress on the moms. And if I could tell you the number of DMs I get during rush from people who are like, whoa, I had no idea what is happening. Can I hire you now? I'm like, well, it's the middle of rush.
Yeah,
it's a little bit late for that. But, I try to give advice for as many people as I could.
I was not prepared. And then I didn't work hardly at all that week. I had a lot of work to do. And I found myself on calls to mom saying, okay, what'd you get? Yeah. Okay. We got this one. And it was like, what is wrong with me? I mean, and we were all trying to help, just encourage each other of like, okay, though, that's a great house. That one's a really good house. And I was having all these conversations, and it just to me was like, one way you're like, I can't get over that we're putting so much into it, but it's so important to them. And it's really hard, to your point of like, not making something at 18, it's hard to tell them that sometimes it comes down to numbers, I found out, right? So it's not always personal,
Yes.
But to an 18-year-old who really wants this so badly, all as a parent, you want to do is make that happen, but you can't. This is the first time you're kind of sitting on the sidelines and hoping for the best. So I have this friend, this is funny, he lives across the street. I went to high school with him, and he and his wife live across the street from the TCU. And he's like, my wife and I want to meet you for coffee. Let's meet for coffee at the campus. So I meet him, and as we're walking on the campus, hi, Susan. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Karen. I'm saying hello to all these people. And he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, why do you know everybody? And I'm like, oh, I met all these moms. And like, she's so nice. Oh, she's from Ohio. And this woman's from Atlanta. And he's like, okay, stop. Your daughter's going to be fine. Like, stop. Like, he's like, you're like either running for mayor of TCU, or you got to let your daughter fly. She's going to be fine. And he was right. I was so worried. Like, oh, I'll meet all these moms and like, and meet their daughters, and then I'll introduce them to my daughter like we did back in the day. And it's like, I can't do that anymore. So that was like an awakening for me at that moment of like, this is time for her to fly, and and she'll land exactly where she's supposed to. And she did. So.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's hard to let go on many levels, including letting go of trying to control the situation. You cannot control it as a parent, and you can't control it as a PNM, a girl going through rush, and you cannot control it on the other side either. You just have to do all you can to prepare and put your best self forward and just trust the process. But
right. I hate
while trusting that, but while trusting the process, you also have to have a little understanding of what the process is. And, that is important to know, that you need to be prepared. Like anything else in life, you can trust the process, but the process is a little mysterious. It's a little daunting, and it's a very stressful process for a lot of people.
Well, and I think too, like I learned what back channeling was. That was like new to me, right? Like where people call, and we didn't get any calls. And I always think it's funny. I talked to my Midwestern moms, like nobody was back channeling us. Nobody was calling us to see, because we didn't have those connections, right? Of like, how's she doing? Is she on the? We didn't have any of that. So I thought that was sort of interesting too, because I talked to some Southern moms, and they were saying, oh yeah, I got a couple calls from, nothing that everything was above board, but it was just like, we didn't know any of this, anything in the behind the scenes. We had no clue. And so again, as a Midwestern mom, I think I just went in so clueless, and I had no idea the stress level, but also like just how everything works down there. And these girls don't play, you know what I mean? Like, they do. They're amazing. I love the Southern women. And they just, I'm just so excited to be part of this now. Like, I can't believe they accepted us. So yay for my daughters. She already she's already saying
I'm sorry, say that again.
She's already saying the word y'all. I heard her yesterday. I'm like, did you just say the word y'all? I think I just
Did
heard
she really?
It's only been 2 weeks, but no, she loves it. She loves
I,
whole lifestyle.
That's amazing. And TCU is a very special place, and we have a lot of clients at TCU. They love it. But that reminds me, I came from Charlotte, North Carolina, which you would think was northern compared to a lot of the people at Georgia. And I will never forget the first day I was in the dorm, and this girl comes to my door and she says, I'm fixing to carry her to the store. Do you want anything? And I was like, I'm going to need for you to explain that a little bit because I don't know what you just said to me. I mean, we ended up being best friends. We lived together. And this is a shout out to you, Holly. But yeah, I was like, I don't know what you're saying. And she was from Cordele, Georgia, which is below the Nat line, as my friend Charlie English says.
Wait, the what line?
But the Nat line. So in the South, you're either above or below the Nat line. And that is a line where these little no-see-um bugs come out. And my aunt and uncle also lived in Cordele for a very long time. And yeah, I can tell you the gnats are real. And we have a house at the beach, which is below the Nat line. And whew. Anyway, I digress. But it's a whole culture shock. And not even Midwest, but North Carolina to Georgia. You would think those are both southern places. Yeah, it was a whole different ballgame. And what she meant by fixing to carry someone to the store was she was taking someone to like a grocery store. And that's what she was fixing to carry them. And I learned a lot.
Yeah, that's a big Texas word, fixing.
Oh, really?
They say fixing a lot. Fixing to go to the store, fixing whatever, jump them. Yeah.
Fixing.
I
want to go back to the women. So you apparently had a group of women who were communicating. There are a lot of people who are so freaked out and so stressed out for their daughters, they completely shut down. They go dark. And that is something that I see a lot. They're terrified for their daughters and they don't want to hear how it's going for other people. And so that's another way to do it.
Well, and I had one mom. Everyone was really great. I mean, honestly, I talked to probably 10 moms I had met along the way. I don't know. We just started texting each other like crazy. And then we started calling each other. And it was and one mom's daughter's gorgeous. And she got like every house, right? And so my daughter is gorgeous, of course, as well. But she just didn't get every one that this girl was doing. She's like, oh, well, I'll pray for you that your daughter gets the right one. I'm thinking, okay, don't pray for me. Don't feel sorry for me, right? She'll be fine. She'll land on her. And she meant it in the nicest way. She truly did. She's such a sweet woman. But I was like, I got defensive of like, she'll be fine. Like she can, sorry. She got cut from some good ones, but she still has a few good ones left, right? And she did. She got her dream house. But we did that whole thing called suicide. That's new to me too. She's like, Mom.
Single preference is what it's called now.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Is that like the wrong word? Should we?
No, that's okay. No. It just used to be called that, but they stopped calling it that. A lot of people still do, but it's called single preference choosing. Right. So yeah, whatever.
Well, that's much better. Single preference. And my one girlfriend's like, no, do not have her do that. Absolutely not. She needs 3 eggs in a basket. She needs 3 houses, an egg in each basket. And then I had this other girlfriend saying, no, it comes down to numbers at pref day. Pick the one you want. Like, you don't want to be upset with pick a house that you didn't want. So she went she just wanted the one. And even though they were all great houses, because they really are at TCU, they're all great girls. She went for preference, whatever, first preference. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, they're like, okay, well, you're going to get a phone call.
That's a stressful night right there. Yeah, that's a stressful night right Friday, there.
And then they said, if you don't get a phone call before Sunday at noon, you've made it. You passed, right? So I cannot tell you how stressed I was. You get a bed,
yeah.
Because from Friday to Sunday at noon, so I flew in Saturday because I thought, I don't know where this is going, I fly in from Chicago, get a hotel room. I have another girlfriend. Her daughter did the exact same thing. And, it was a real lesson for our daughter, though, too. It's like, okay, this is your moment. This is your life, right? I can't make that decision for you. If you absolutely do not want that house, then don't do it. Like high risk, high reward, right? So, but you may not get it at all. She's like, I know, but if I don't, I could do spring rush and I could always come back in the fall. Like she was kind of like figuring this out herself. And I thought, you know what, then do it. Because at that point too, you're like, well, what do we do? My girlfriend said, don't tell her to have a backup. But then like, that's I'm a risk taker in life. My husband's a risk taker. We don't play it safe all the time. I mean, sometimes of course we do, but in life, in business, it's like sometimes you've got to take a risk, and she did, and it paid off. She got the house she wanted, but up until like, it was like 11:45, and we're like, oh my gosh, are they going to call us? Are they not going to call us? I try to keep her busy. I'm like, we went to Michael's to do a craft. We went to got breakfast. I mean, anything we could. I went to church. I lit a candle, all of that. And thank God she didn't get the call, and she made the house she wanted. And that was,
but even then I have a question. Did you trust it at noon? Because I see this a lot, that they're like, well, maybe this year somebody's running late. When did you actually trust?
I'll tell you when. I had this girlfriend whose daughter was going through the same exact thing. We went to high school together in Texas, and her daughter, same exact house, same exact first preference, that one house only. So we were literally in the same boat. She's like, did you get the call? Did you get the call? Well, she's like, did you get the email? And I was like, what email? Because I'm like so nervous. And the email said, if your daughter, it was like 11:50, right? And it said, if your daughter hadn't been contacted, then she got a bid. But then my daughter and I are like, I don't know though, right? Even like when she was coming running up, she got the bid. I was like, where is she? Did she definitely get the bid? So yeah, I didn't 100% trust it, but I was glad she took the risk, because that was a learning experience for her, of trusting herself, trusting her gut, and figuring out, if it doesn't work out, what are you going to do? She's like, if it doesn't work out, I'll go rush in the spring, or else, go in the fall or whatever. She wanted a certain house, and she wasn't willing to compromise. And I loved that. I'm glad it worked out for her. I mean, I don't know what I would have done otherwise, but she would have figured it out, as they all do.
You would have, as a mom, if it hadn't worked out for her, you would still be in Texas, most likely, and calling me, what do we do? And that is important to know. If you go through rush and you end up with a house you'd rather not be in than be in a sorority, then don't put it down, because you're signing a legally binding contract. You are signing a contract that says you'll take a bid from either one of those houses. And if you don't want to bid, and you sign that and you get your second choice or whatever choice it is, and not your first choice, then you cannot go through rush again until the fall. If you single preference and you don't get it, then you are eligible at that point for snap bid and COB. So she did the right thing. And a lot of girls hear all kinds of rumors,
There were quite a few girls, from what I heard, at a really, really reputable sorority, one of the top sororities at TCU, that didn't make their quota this year, from what I hear. And then
that's when they extend snap bids and COBs. And so all hope is not lost if you do get that call.
I know. And also, when in doubt, start saying your prayers, because it really worked. I'm kidding. But no, it did for me. It calmed me. And I just was like, I don't know what to do. And my mom's like, man, I haven't seen you pray this hard in a while. I'm like, I know. It's just because you just want your kid to be happy, and for her, choosing a sorority is what she really wanted. That was really important to her. So I'm just glad she got it and it all worked out. Now we get to have the fun part of like the, that's coming up and everything. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, that will be fun. And I'm so jealous. Yeah, jealous. I'm jealous that you get to do. I did it with both of my boys. One of them coached football at Georgia, but was also in a fraternity. And one of them was in a fraternity at Ole Miss. And I mean, it was like Friday Night Lights when I would go see them. It was our favorite thing to do when they were in college. And I'm so excited you're about to embark on that journey, because it's fun. It's a very fun thing.
It's like finding that balance of like, I want to give her space, but also it's like, well, I want to be a part of this too. I mean, but yeah, we're going to go up for Parents Weekend, and then my husband's going up for Dad's Weekend. And then he's so funny though, that he's like, well, are you coming with me for Dad's Weekend? Okay. He's kind of quieter. He doesn't really know any dads. I think I'm going to have to introduce him to some dads, and then I'll go shopping or something, whatever. Let them all be. But no,
God love our quieter husbands, but they do a good job with that. Because a lot of times us more dynamically loud women, I'm not saying you're loud, but I mean, just more out there, have the husbands who are a little bit more low key, and
need an
so
audience.
They do a good job of packing it. Yeah. Tell your husband to go get the Peter Millar the Peter Millar polo, TCU polo.
Oh, I think he already has
I'm
that.
not sponsored by Peter Millar, although I would take a sponsorship from Peter Millar. I'm not sponsored by them, but that's kind of the man uniform. Just for those of you listening to, Peter Millar has most schools, and that's kind of the dad uniform. So
It's
that's
so funny.
my
You're so right. I took a
advice.
picture of this guy he had the cutest polo on. I said, "Can I take a picture of this?" Because I couldn't find it. I thought I'll like, try to find it on Google afterwards, and I did, and it was Peter Millar. I was saying Miller, but Millar, and his shirt was so cute. But yeah, they have some really great styles. I loved it. So he's all ready to go. Now I got to find my cute little outfits, which I put it out. You know, like how you like put it on your iPhone or whatever. And now I've been targeted by all these ads for like,
oh yeah,
sorority T-shirt to wear for game day. I'm like the target of that now every time I turn on my Instagram. No. So I'm sure I'll find one.
No, I'm here to tell you, don't wear a T-shirt on game day.
No, they dress up. Yeah,
right.
We don't do that.
Don't wear a T-shirt. I mean,
how
right? Exactly. And I talk about that. I would say a cute sundress, a purple and white cute sundress, or just white with some purple accessories. But yeah, it's a sundress occasion, and it's hotter than the hind hinges of hell. So sandals, tennis shoes. You don't have to wear cowboy boots as a mom. It's kind of a uniform for the guys and the girls, but cute sandals that can get dusty are also
that's
a good look.
Yeah, and
I can help you with that. And in my book, there's a whole parent style guide too.
I'm so glad I met you. And by the way, thank you so much for sharing my videos. I really appreciated that because you were really cute. I can see where you really support other women, and I love that. So thank you for doing that.
Of course, and I met the people that are going to be 2 women are going to be on my podcast the week before you. And same thing. I shared her art because I was like, this woman has amazing art. And I think it's so cool. And I have met some really great, like, people that I call my friends just in this rush season. Just this past week at Ole Miss, someone DM'd me, and then she reached out to me and she's like, hey, it's so-and-so from Instagram. And then I texted with she and her friend that was in town for her daughter's rush like multiple times a day, and we're already planning a girls' beach trip, so you can come too. Okay. And so can Christy and Allison, it's all about the connections, and it's so fun and it's so neat. And if you open yourself up and if you put yourself out there, I mean, you're way more famous than I am, but I'm like, you know what? I think she's hilarious.
Debut soon.
I think she's hilarious. I think she's neat. And then once you agreed to be on my podcast, which was so nice of you, I read your bio. I mean, you're super impressive so I want to know you, and I think that other people will want to know you. So before we get to how they can find you, so Bama Rush Talk popularized the hashtag OOTD outfit of the day, which we're also discussing. But for Mad Rush, I'm repurposing hashtag OOTD into observation of the day. So what is your hashtag observation of the day?
You mean on an actual bid day? What was my observation?
No, just in general, like your hashtag observation for today. Like I've had people say that they drink more tequila in the summertime than in the wintertime. And then some people are like, go for your dreams or what, I think talking to you, maybe trust the process is what, but I don't know.
Yeah, I would say trust the process, but also like, I don't know, gosh, I'm trying to think of something kind of funny and creative, but I would, what would I say? What would be my hashtag? I should have come up with one.
Katie, I gave you a heads up in my notes that you're going to be asked this. You didn't do your homework.
Well, she didn't have her rec letters in. Hashtag turn in the rec letters.
Yes,
in the rec letters. Yeah. No,
hashtag do your homework so you're not on a podcast going, I don't know what to say.
No, or
hashtag read the notes.
Yeah, like hire someone. Hashtag Midwestern women, you're not alone. It's like you can do this. You will get through it. That was my hardest thing. I'm like, I felt like I was this woman on the island, of like, oh, you didn't hear about this? Oh yeah, we all come back for bid day. I'm like, how did I not hear about this? And it's Wednesday, right? So I did. I bought the ticket. So hashtag come back for bid day, Midwestern ladies. Yeah.
That's a good one. I like that one. That's awesome. Well, so, all right. So where can people find you on the interwebs and Instagrammers and
find me anywhere pretty much under Catie Keogh. So I spell it with a C because, that's the Southern way. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe not. It's CATIE KEO.
No, it's not. It's Midwestern. Just saying. Go ahead. Continue.
Okay. Yeah. Katie would call it KD. I don't know. CATIE. Sorry, I was doing my little sorority word. CATIE KEOGH. That is my name, and you just put that in. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, all that. So, I would love y'all to follow because I'm finding my people. The more videos I do about my life, and whether now it's with my daughter or now it's empty nester, I'm finding these women are coming, and I am so here for it. I'm just so excited to have all these women following me who are in the same boat as I am. So it makes life more fun if you can kind of do it together. So, yeah, follow me. I would love it. Say hello, DM me.
I'm telling you to follow her DM. I love the DMs too. And I just learned about the hidden messages. And because if they're not friends with you, it goes into hidden messages. And I would have missed so many great, conversations, and people are texting see, they're texting me.
There's so many. They're not texting me. For it. Yeah. DM. Yeah. Anyways.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. I'm a huge fan, and I think that everyone should go to your page and follow you because you're hilarious. And I'll continue to share it.
All right. Well, I'll continue doing more videos because, I'm going through this process as well. So thank you so much. I'm just so happy to know you, and I'm excited about your movie. When is all that coming out, by the way?
Oh, gosh. I don't know. That's another thing I've learned. All this stuff it's glacial, which it's all part of the process as
you got to trust the process.
I'm just trust in the process, and I'm having a great time. So, if it's 10 years from now, it's 10 years from now, but I'm just having a blast doing it.
What would be your one piece of advice you would give a Midwestern mom if their child was coming down south? What would be your one advice?
Hire me.
Yeah. Really, hire a coach.
Right? It's all great to me. Yeah. No, not hire a coach. Hire us.
Yeah, that's great. No, true though.
Yes.
I wish I'd known about you, but now I do. I can spread the word.
Exactly. Thank you. I appreciate it. Awesome. Well, I can't wait to keep in touch and keep this friendship going. And thank you for being here.
As I say at TCU, go Horned Frogs. I used to be a Longhorn. I do that too.
I know. I was doing this, but then I was doing the TCU thing. I don't know.
Thank you.
Go Dogs. Let's just go with that.
There you go.
Welcome to Time Out with Trisha. Because can you really give advice if you don't speak about yourself in the third person? I don't think so. This is exactly how I speak to my clients. The good, the bad, and the ugly. So listen to me. I know what I'm talking about. Now let's get into it. All right. This past weekend, I had a girls' trip with 7 of my Chi Omega Pledge sisters. We've been friends since 1987, and we still make a consistent effort to get together. When I'm with them, we act like we're 18 again, but we have all had very different life experiences that make these weekends filled with learning, sharing, and profound revelations. I want this connection for you, and I want it for your daughters. This is a driving force behind why I work so hard to get you accurate information as you embark on this sorority life journey. This information also changes by every year, so this is real time. It's also why I have guests on this podcast who can help give you the tools to do this successfully, if that's what you want, or maybe just learn new connections, which is what is happening to me every week. So as promised, I'm going to give you school-specific rush information in the upcoming Mad Rush timeouts, and I will start with ones that you need to hear right away. This week, at your request, I am starting with Baylor University in Texas, because everything is bigger in Texas. But most of these tips can be also applied to any school that has spring rush. Spring rush, for those of you who don't know, is usually in January. It's not really spring, but maybe in the South it's closer. So at Baylor, there are only 9 sorority houses there. It's very competitive. Like all schools, the number of P&Ms have increased, And this year at Baylor is no exception. 27% of Baylor students are in the Greek system, and about 2/3 of them are from Texas. So if you're not from Texas, you are starting from a little bit of a disadvantage. I don't necessarily think disadvantage is the right word, but I don't know how else to say it. If you're prepared, you're not at a disadvantage. You have to work hard, though. You have to prepare, and you have to make connections in these months right now. So at Baylor specifically, first, make sure you have your letters of recommendation and your RIFs buttoned up as soon as possible if you haven't already. In particular, at Baylor, they are very, very important. And some schools are like, oh, it doesn't matter if you have letters of recommendations or RIFs. At Baylor, it's very important. That has not changed. I don't anticipate it changing, and I do anticipate it changing at other schools. So, as I said, Baylor has Spring Rush, but they are very proactive in the months leading up to formal recruitment, which is in January, and that is meaning they're proactive right now. They are hosting Panhellenic previews and, new this year, P&M meetings. The remaining Panhellenic previews are September 25th, October 2nd, October 30th, and November 13th. The remaining P&M meetings are October 9th, November 4th, and December 3rd. The times are listed in the P&M guidebook available on the Baylor Panhellenic Instagram. Go to these meetings, engage, really show the sororities that you're interested in learning about their sisterhood. These are great, unique to Baylor opportunities to get on the sororities' radar. So don't skip them. Make sure that you mark your calendars and you go. You look presentable when you're there and you engage. And that by engaging, that means go with a smile on your face, be happy to be there. Do not act bored. They might be a little boring just because meetings in general are boring sometimes, but don't act like it. Look around, engage, meet other people that are there for the same reason you are, and ask thoughtful questions. So it used to be called dirty rushing, is now called rush dates at many schools. Dirty rushing is kind of a thing of the past. And that's, like I said, at many schools, including Baylor. Go on any rush dates you're invited to and prepare for them like mini interviews. Be intentional. And again, ask thoughtful questions and listen. They're taking their time to get to know you. So you need to take the time and then thoughtfully prepare for these rush dates. So, all this said, I kind of despise spring rush. There are multiple opportunities to inadvertently do things that can hurt you in the recruitment process. I don't mean the obvious things like being the drunk girl at a party or, God forbid, talking to someone who an active sister likes, but there are less overt things that you can do without meaning to. I have heard crazy stories through the years of things that have pissed off an active member, including answering the question, what kind of music do you like to listen to? So think of it as a multiple months, not month, long job interview. It is tiring intentionally presenting your best self always. There is a very tired list, speaking of topics that you should avoid and rush. The 5, and my company has 6 Bs. I'm betting if you're listening to this podcast or this part of the podcast, you've heard about this. Avoid bringing up these topics: booze, Bible, boys, bucks, brands, and ballots. So that means don't talk about going out and partying. That's the booze B. Don't bring up religion. If your faith is important to you, you can do that if the active member brings it up first, but don't lead with it. Boys, do not ask what fraternity the sorority socializes with. They don't want to talk about that. Don't talk about your boyfriend. It's all about getting to know how you would be as a sister. And that does not involve boys. Bucks, don't talk about how much money you have. Nobody cares. If they do care, they can look it up, but don't talk about how much money you have. It's off-putting. Brands, nobody really cares about the brands you're wearing. And it's all about how you present yourself. And ballots. Don't talk about politics. In particular, this year, because the election is right smack dab in the middle of this time, you need to be very cognizant about expressing your political views. This is a minefield and not one you want to wander into. Don't do it. Spring Rush does offer you a chance to make connections, which is very important, but make sure you intentionally do this and do it in the ways that I've talked about, but also by keeping your social media clean. Post pictures with your new friends, your college friends, and don't post a bunch of solo pictures. This goes back to preparing for Fall Rush, but it continues for you guys going through Spring Rush throughout these months. If you go to parties and you go out, which you will this fall, keep your wits about you. This is good advice always, but it is much easier to make poor decisions if your inhibitions are lowered. Just keep your wits about you. Don't go out, drink a ton, then you will kind of forget these rules and it can really bite you in the ass. Okay, keep your door open. At Baylor, there are not sorority houses. You have to live on campus your first year. Keep your door open. This gives people the opportunity to stop by your room and you get to meet more people that way. Someone reached out to me on Instagram and told me that a friend of hers gives door stoppers as graduation gifts. I love that idea, and I've already purchased some for some of my peeps. So if you're a parent listening, that's a good gift to send them. I think it was $9 for 2 on Instagram. All right, keep in touch with your high school friends, but put your phone down and be present in your new place. Remember that people want to be asked. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Assert yourself and ask people to get coffee or go on a walk or grab a bite to eat after class. People want to be asked, and even if they can't go, you've opened up that line of communication. It's all about connections. It's not all about who you know, but it's about connections. That's the theme of this podcast. It's the theme of Spring Rush. And it is, in my opinion, the only way to succeed in Rush and beyond. You can DM me at Rush with Confidence on Instagram, or you can email info@madrushpod.com if you have urgent questions before I get to your school in these timeouts I'm going to be doing weekly. And I am here for you, and you can do this. And that's it for Time Out with Trisha. We'll see you on another episode of the Mad Rush Podcast. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Mad Rush Podcast. If you are enjoying this podcast, please consider leaving us a 5-star review. For additional Rush tips, updates, and more, please follow me on Instagram at Rush with Confidence. If you would like to reach out to us or for more information, please email info@madrushpod.com. This podcast is produced by Collier Landry and Don't Touch My Radio. Copyright Trisha Adams.